This happened in 2023. I was 26 at the time, working my first overnight security job at a corporate headquarters in Stanford. It was supposed to be easy, quiet, boring, even. Most nights were exactly that, me alone behind a desk, sipping tea that always went cold too fast, watching rows of security cameras glow softly in the dark. The building itself didn't feel scary at night. If anything, it felt too clean, too open. Polished floors that reflected every ceiling light, a decorative fountain sitting dry and lifeless. Floor-to-ceiling glass walls that made the lobby feel like a display case, like if someone were watching, there'd be nowhere to hide. I'd come from years of retail and front desk work, so my instincts were wired for politeness first. Calm voice, friendly posture, help before suspicion. Security training layered over that with stricter rules. Follow procedure. Never leave the desk. Never escort anyone outside. Never let someone else's emergency become yours. That night started like every other. Visitor log open, policy binder. Beside me, my supervisor loved testing obscure rules. I'd already done 2 patrol rounds, stairwells, side doors, loading dock. Nothing out of place. Around 1 a.m., movement caught my eye in the glass vestibule. At first, I assumed it was a reflection headlights from the street. Maybe. But then a woman stepped fully into view and stopped. She didn't swipe a badge. She didn't knock. She just stood there, between the outer doors and the secure lobby. The first thing I noticed was that she wasn't wearing a coat. It was cold enough that night to sting your face, yet she had on thin leggings and a sweatshirt. No jacket, no bag. She held a phone in her hand, but the screen was dark, like it was something to grip rather than use. I stood and approached the desk, keeping my tone neutral and professional. "Hi, can I help you?" She startled, visibly, like she hadn't expected my voice. Then she leaned closer to the glass. "I can't go back out," she said. Her voice was steady, but her eyes weren't. They kept flicking from the street doors, to the planter outside, then back to me. "Okay," I said slowly. "Are you here to see someone? Do you have a badge?" She shook her head too quickly. "No, I can't go outside. They're watching." I'd heard strange explanations before. People under stress don't always sound logical. My mind started sorting possibilities. Locked out, confused, scared, intoxicated. "Who's watching?" I asked. She lifted her phone like she was about to show me something, then lowered it again. "If you call anyone," she said, "it'll make it worse." That line didn't sit right. "I can call the police," I offered. "Or I can help you get a ride." "No," she said instantly. "No police, no ride." She glanced past me into the empty lobby. "Are you alone tonight?" "There's someone on call," I said truthfully, though physically it was just me. She looked back toward the glass doors. "Do you ever step outside to check the loading dock?" The specificity made my shoulders tighten. "Why?" "Because I need you to walk me to the curb," she said. "Just for a second. If I leave alone, they'll grab me." That's where my instincts split. Customer service said, "Help her." Security said, "Stay where the lights and cameras are." I studied her more carefully. She wasn't crying. She wasn't frantic. She was controlled, calculated, and she'd positioned herself directly beside the inner door's right, where the motion sensor would trigger if I buzzed her in. "I'm not going outside," I said gently. "I'm going to call for help." "No," she said, sharper this time. "Please don't." Her eyes snapped toward the planter outside. I followed her gaze. Something shifted in the shadows. It was subtle, fast, then still. Not enough to clearly see, just enough to change the air in the lobby. The woman watched me watch it. Her expression flickered fear, then something flatter, expectant, like she was listening for a signal. "I'm calling," I said. I picked up the desk phone and dialed 911. The moment the line rang, her shoulders tightened. When the operator answered and I began giving the address, the woman turned without another word, pushed open the outer door, and stepped back into the night. No hesitation, no glance back. Guilt hit me immediately, sharp and heavy, like I'd just scared off someone who genuinely needed help. Then I saw her stop on the sidewalk. She didn't walk away. She stood there, half turned toward the building, staring at the planter, waiting. I told the operator exactly what I was seeing. Police arrived quickly. Headlights swept across the lot. Flashlights cut through the landscaping. They found nothing. No woman. No second person. Just winter grass and shadows. They asked for the footage. I told them I'd send it. After they left, the lobby felt enormous. Too quiet. I pulled up the exterior camera and scrubbed backward through the timeline. Right as the woman leaned toward the glass, right as she asked me to step outside, the feed stuttered. Not a full blackout. Just a brief digital freeze. Then normal again. Cameras glitch all the time. I know that, but the timing was too perfect. By the end of my shift, I couldn't shake one thought. Maybe the point wasn't to hurt me. Maybe the point was to see if I would leave the building. And I still don't know whether she was bait or a warning. I just know I didn't understand what was happening until it was already over. Mall security was never what I pictured when I enrolled in my criminal justice program. I imagined radios crackling with urgency, reports that actually mattered, a sense that I was stepping into something serious, something real. Instead, my training shift in Peoria in 2022 was defined by silence and the kind of boredom that makes you doubt every sound you hear. My trainer that night was Rick, middle-aged, permanently tired eyes, dry humor that hovered somewhere between sarcasm and resignation. He'd worked mall security for so long that nothing surprised him anymore, which somehow made me more nervous than if he'd been jumpy. Before we even left the security office, he pointed at the wall of camera feeds and said, "You're gonna hear the phrase, ghost alarm, a lot. Means a sensor trips, nothing's there, and we don't get excited." I laughed, but inside I was already trying to memorize everything: radio phrasing, report language, how to sound confident even when I wasn't. I checked my flashlight, extra batteries, adjusted my belt like it might magically make me look like I belonged there. After hours, the mall felt wrong in a quiet way. The overhead lights dimmed but never fully shut off. Store gates were pulled down like metal eyelids. Escalators stood frozen mid-climb. Every sound echoed just a second too long. What unsettled me most was the glass. Every storefront became a display case, mannequins frozen mid-motion, products arranged to be admired under bright lights and crowds. At night, it felt like walking past exhibits that weren't meant to be seen after dark. We'd been on shift maybe an hour when the first motion alert chirped. Rick glanced at his handheld. "Kids store," he said, already bored. I checked the camera feed. The hallway outside the store was empty. No movement, no shadows. Just polished tile and the closed gate of a brightly colored children's store that felt unsettling without laughter or noise. "Probably air movement," Rick said. "Or a bug." "Should we check it?" I asked. He shrugged. Training moment. The mall felt even larger once we were inside it, like all the space had been hollowed out. As we walked, I noticed things I hadn't before. The smell of cleaner mixed with old popcorn, the low electrical hum of lights, how loud my breathing sounded without other people around. When we reached the store, everything looked normal. Gate locked, no damage. Rick swept his flashlight across the metal slats, then up to the ceiling corner where the sensor was mounted. "Ghost alarm," he said. We turned back. The alert chirped again. Rick stopped walking. Back in the office, the camera feeds still showed the same empty hallway. Identical. Too identical. "They loop sometimes," Rick said, but his voice had lost its casual edge. We headed back out. This time, my body felt tense in a way my brain hadn't caught up to yet. Like something didn't line up, and I couldn't explain why. Halfway down the corridor, the alert chirped again. Then I heard it. Soft footsteps. Not loud. Just a faint sound of rubber soles on tile. I stopped. Rick took another step, then noticed and turned. "What?" he asked. "I heard something," I said immediately, and hated how ridiculous I sounded. We listened. One more step, then nothing. The hallway was empty. No one at either end. What made it worse was that the sound didn't match what I was seeing. Rick lifted his flashlight and scanned ahead. "Probably echo," he said, then leaned closer and added quietly, "Don't say anything on the radio yet." That was the moment I knew he was unsettled too. We moved again, slower now. 2 steps forward, 2 steps echoed back, perfectly timed, but not ours. We stopped. The sound stopped. Rick raised a hand. "Hold." We were close enough now to see into the children's store through the gate. Plush animals sat in neat rows. Tiny shoes lined the shelves. A child-sized table with books looked staged. like the store had been frozen mid-afternoon. The motion alert chirped again. Rick muttered under his breath. Then the gate shifted. Not much. Just enough to look like something brushed against it from the inside. I stepped back without thinking. Rick didn't. He leaned closer, shining his flashlight through the slats. "Anyone in there?" he called. His voice wasn't playful anymore. No answer. The handheld chirped again. "It's inside the store," Rick said, staring at the device. "But the gate's locked," I said. "Yeah." He radioed dispatch.com and professional, like he was forcing the moment to stay procedural. I watched the back of the store, stockroom hallway, barely visible beyond the racks of clothes. It felt like a throat leading somewhere darker. When we pulled the footage later, the hallway looked the same as always, except, just beyond the edge of the flashlight beam, there was something. Not a full person, just a darker vertical shape like someone had stepped backward, out of view. Rick didn't say I was wrong. He also didn't confirm it. "Back up," he said. Management arrived. Then police. Flashlights swept the store. Doors were checked. Ceiling tiles inspected. They found nothing. No forced entry. No unlocked doors. The kid's store was exactly how it was supposed to be. Afterward, Rick went back to joking like nothing had happened. "Ghost alarm," he said again. I didn't laugh. A week later, I was doing paperwork when a supervisor saw me staring at the zone map. "Don't worry about that kid's store," he said casually. "It's got history." "What kind of history?" I asked. "There used to be a back service door," he said, already turning away. "They sealed it after." "Incidents." "What incidents?" He pretended not to hear me. That's what stuck with me most. How everyone acted like this was normal. Like the mall had places you just didn't talk about. Because once you've stood in an empty mall at 2 a.m., listening to footsteps you can't see and watching cameras that don't show what you heard, the word empty stops meaning what you thought it did.